Hi everybody, it's Gayle. I am probably going to be doing these videos out of order because what I want to do today is to cover a purse hanger. And this is my favorite cane of all times. Is that not gorgeous? I have made earrings out of these. I have covered pens in these, and I've got these two pieces of this cane left. And I will do another video showing you how I made the cane. But right now I just want to cover a purse hanger. And these are Primo purse hangers. I'm going to take it out of the cellophane so you don't have to look at the glare. You know, when you get old like me, things like purse hangers can come in handy. It's got a rubber piece on the bottom and it folds up real nice. And then when you want to use it, there you go. You just unwrap the outside and it hangs on the end of a table or whatever, and then you can hang your purse on that hook. But what I'm going to do, roll it back, see how compact it gets? I am going to cut this cane and put it into this center part and make a purse hanger. Matter of fact, I'm going to do two since I've got two of these. May as well do them both at the same time. So the first thing I'm going to need is some scrap clay. And I just happened to redo my clay drawer. So I found all kinds of scrap clay. So here's some white. I'll use that for one. It doesn't really matter because you're going to cover it up. And I think I will use, what have I got in here that I need to get rid of? Lots. I might just use some of this gold. It's not going to matter, like I said. Let me go back out. I was zoomed in so you could see the cane. It's not going to really matter because it's going to be covered up. But let me just get some gold out of here. And that ought to be plenty. Doesn't take much, just a little thin piece. I just have to remember to go to my scrap pile to look things up. Now this has been conditioned before, so I'm not going to run it through the pasta machine, but I am going to pinch it and pull it and recondition it as far as making it soft again. I don't really know how much clay to use. Right now I'm going to do the same thing with my white. You don't have to worry about fingerprints on your white or the colors transferring over. This has a little bit of gold that's transferring over, but that's alright. All you need is some nice soft clay. And I'm going to use some cutters. I have this cutter set that I like to use, and let me see how that works. That might work. Let me get out my Sculpey cutters and see if they've got one that's better. That's too big. That I might, well, I don't need to do that. And let me see about this one. That one might work better. So I think I'll use that one. And this is only just to cut what goes into the channel here so that you have something to fill it. And just cut a circle. And because this is going into metal, I think I want to use some Bacon Bond. Just to make sure that this clay doesn't come out after it's done. Just doesn't have to be a lot, but just put some baking bond in there. And you can put this clay on top. You don't want it to go, just make sure you press it down in. You don't want it to overlap the rim here, so just kind of roll it. You know what I think I'll do? I'm sorry, I apologize. I sometimes think as I work, and I might want this to have a little bit of a dome top. So I'm going to roll this clay back into a little ball and put it in the middle and press it down. Now this I don't need to put anything between. This is raw clay to raw clay. But I'm going to press it down so it has a little bit of a dome shape. And you can see how dirty it is. You can, well, maybe you can't from that distance, but trust me, see how, well, maybe you still can. I guess the secret to not having dirty clay is to show it on a video because you don't see the dirt. But I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do, I think what I'll do with this one, instead of cutting a circle, I'm going to go ahead and press this gold into the center. Well, I forgot my baking bond. Always forget something. At least I usually remember before it's too late to do something about it. But I'm going to press this gold into the center. And this is going to make a higher dome. So this one, I don't know, we'll just have to see how it works. Just make sure that there's no clay overlapping the metal rim here. Get it as even as you can, or in whatever shape you like. You make sure there's no clay over the metal here. Doing this also helps to dome it a little bit. But all I'm doing is pushing in with my finger, which moves the clay away from the metal rim. Okay, then we're all set. Now, I am going to use my Lucy slicer. If I can get to it. I have so much stuff on my table right now. But I'm using the Lucy slicer because I don't have a lot of this cane left and I don't want to mess it up. And if I want to get a nice, crisp, sharp edge, I know I can trust my Lucy slicer to do that. And I do need to I don't know if I can turn my camera so you can see what I'm doing or not. Let me try, and if I knock my camera off, I'll just have to re-video this whole thing. There, I know it's going to be sideways, but hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Now, I have put a block of wood back here because there's about an inch of cane of space left when you're using your slicer. But let me undo the safety screw because this is a very sharp blade. And make sure your cane is... Alright, I'm going to move it up just a little and cut off one slice. You see how uneven that is? Just shows you that it's uneven. I'll move it up just a little bit. There. So that should be a straight slice now. So I'm going to make this about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little less than 1/8 of an inch thick. And it is out of shape a little bit. let me go ahead and cut another one while I've got my camera. If you want, you can turn your cane a different way so that it slices better. I think that's the way I should do it. And then I will cut my second slice. Then I'll remove my cane, and then I replace replace the little safety screw. Which keeps it from coming all the way down. But these are my two slices. Let me get my camera back over here. There. Now I've got my two slices, and they're not exactly round, but that's okay. We can fix that as we do this. But let me come in a little bit. I'm going to just lay this on top of my dome and gently start pushing down. Sorry for that noise. I've got a drawer open here. Now this isn't going to exactly cover. So let me pull this back up and move it over a little bit. Or actually what I need to do is just roll it with a roller to make it a little bit bigger. Hopefully I didn't press it down hard enough. So let me just take my roller, make sure it's clean, and just go in different directions, because you want to make sure it stays fairly round. That should do it. Before I press it down, I'll check it this time. Covers there, and I think those were my two short sides. So now, after you make sure it fits, you start pressing down. Make sure it's stuck on the top before you start pressing down the sides. Otherwise you might end up with a big air bubble, and then that would be a disaster. But just make sure it's adhered all the way around. Then you take your, maybe I'll use a knife. It might be a little bit easier than a blade. If this gets in your way, just uncurl it and get it out of your way. But I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to slice around the edge here, flush with the side. Ooh, forgot it's got a magnet in there. It's got a magnet to hold this in place when you're storing it. And just trim it until it's the way that you like it. I think I'm going to trim mine slanted in just slightly to maintain the dome shape. And if you don't want a dome, you don't have to have a dome. This is your project. I'm just cutting off a little bit of a sharp edge that my blade is left. And just refine it with your finger. You can roll it. Let me get one of my little cane benders out. I like to use the medium-sized one to refine my edges. If you saw my product share, this is from Teresa Salgado, and her new store is tinypandora.com, because she goes by the name of Pandora. You may have seen her on YouTube or on Facebook. She's fabulous. But anyway, so there, all I need to do now is put this back together like this, put it on a tile, put it in the oven, and bake it. I'll go ahead and do the other one just since I've already got it cut. If you don't want to watch, feel free to fast forward. But since this dome is even bigger than the last one, I'm assuming I'm going to need to make this a little bit bigger. See, that doesn't cover, but I think I can move it over a little bit. Oh, need to roll it a little bit more. The good thing about polymer clay is when you're using a veneer, which is basically what this is, the top part doesn't have to be very thick as long as your base is thick. So this should do it. That's going to cover, that's going to cover. There we go. And that's my narrowest part. So start from the top. If you're like me, sometimes I need to see things several times before I'm sure of what I'm doing. And if you don't have a craft knife, I'll trim this one with a blade. You can use a razor blade. And again, you just unwrap this after you're sure it's the way you want it. And just take your blade and go flush around the outside. See, even though this one had gold in the middle, you can't see the gold. So you can use any color scrap that you want on the inside. See if I can get this part. Yeah, didn't know if I could do that with my blade since I used my knife. But just give it a little bit of extra care around where this comes together. And I don't think I need to do anything more to this. But there's my second one. How long did that take me? 10-15 minutes, and I made 2 gifts, 2 items for sale for my Etsy shop, 2 things. I used one myself that I made myself, that I put a flower on top. But those are really nice gifts, especially for, like I said, old people like me that have to have a purse. And you go, have you ever gone into a restaurant and you don't have a chair that has a straight edge on it so that you can hang a purse? And my purses usually are fabric of some kind. So I don't want to put them on the floor because who knows how nasty that floor is going to be. But there's 2 right there. I will probably glaze these after they're baked. I'll put varathane on these. That's what I use to glaze my clay. Actually, sometimes I use liquid clay. So let me try that on one to see the difference. Just put a little bit on there and you can spread it with your finger. I've got my paper towel right here. Or just take your finger and spread it and cover it. And I'll put a picture at the end of the, I probably should have move this out of the way since I just got liquid clay on this. And it wipes off. It's just clay. Kind of messed it up when I did that. So let me just go over it again just to make sure. This is self-leveling, so you want to put it on even, but you don't have to worry about fingerprints or anything because as it bakes, it will fill in the little grooves from your fingerprints. Matter of fact, I think I'll do this on both. This leaves a nice, it's not a shiny, like a glossy finish, but it's like a satin, I guess you would call it, finish. Which, you know, sometimes shiny isn't always the best. There you go. These are ready to bake. So I will put a picture at the end of this video, like I said, with the finished pictures in it, so you can see what they look like finished. And everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. I will make a video on how to make this luscious cane. The only thing is you will need an extruder. So hopefully everybody has access to some kind of a clay extruder. But I will see you soon. Thanks.